Dear sons, it is the month of February in the year of the Lord 2017, and I feel I am getting closer and closer to dying. I am making this movie to achieve 4 things. Firstly, I want to tell you some of my last and the most important teachings I could ever give you before passing into eternity. Secondly, I want to make peace with my very sick brother, who in February 23rd will celebrate his 56th birthday, from whom I kept distance for almost 2 decades because I saw him using, abusing, and disrespecting our sick and dying father. And I want to tell him how an important role he played in my life. Thirdly, I want to remind you, Sebastian, that the time to start the U-turn in your life has begun. It is called now, February 2017. Fourthly, the final reason of making this movie is to have it ready to be played if and when needed at my funeral. In it, I am saying everything I want to say to you and to the world. My dear sons, the happiest days of my life were the days you were born. I could never forget November 20th, 1983, when you, Sebastian, my very first child, was born by your mother Ileana on a maternity in Arad, Romania. Or September 30th, 1999, when you, David, my second child, was prematurely born by your mother Luminița on a maternity in Bucharest, Romania. Or July 13, 2002, when you, Daniel, my last child, was born, unassisted by doctors, by your mother Luminița, at home in Cluj-Napoca, Romania. Those 3 days were the best days of my life. In each of those days, I saw at work magic, wonders, and miracles. In each of those days, I saw a divine creation coming into this world. Those 3 miracles, 3 different yet divine creations, were you, each and every one of you. In those days, I saw you entering this world, and to me, you were one of the most beautiful, the most magical, and the most magnificent babies I've ever seen before in my life. As you entered this world, one by one, in 1983, 1999, and 2002, I immediately noticed how much you looked like my father, my mother, my sister, my brother, and myself. Those first images of each of your divine beings have been imprinted deep into my heart, and they are still there, even though my heart is now old, sick, and ripped off by time, by pain, by worries, and by betrayal of some of the people I trusted and loved. After I die, I want you, my sons, to take this old heart out of me, to divide it into 3 equal pieces, and to share it amongst yourselves. My heart had always, and it will always belong to you. Sons, you are not going to believe this, but you used to fit into my palm. I'd hold you up, and I will often say to your mothers, this boy is going to be the greatest human being that ever lived. This kid is going to be somebody. He would be much better than anybody I know. And you all grew up healthy and wonderful. It was gracious watching each and every one of you. The days I was with you was a great privilege for me. I have and I will continuously cherish the memories we created together until the end of my life. When your mothers divorced me, they lied in courts and stole you away from me. That's when you started to change. You stopped being you. You stopped believing in me. And you stopped believing in yourselves. You left some evil people that came in the lives of your mothers to stick their fingers on your faces, to tell you things that weren't true. And you started to believe when they said you were no good. Those words were the beginning of your fall for all three of you. Soon, things got harder and harder for you, and you all started to be looking for someone to blame. Instead of blaming the people who harmed you, those very low and disgusting people who could never be not even half the man you are, you blamed me, your father. You blamed the man who loved you more than the light of his eyes. Those are my last teachings. Please follow them. 1. Sons, the world doesn't know you, neither one of you. The world doesn't yet know who you are or what each of you is capable of doing. The people of the world don't yet know your hearts. They don't know your souls. They don't know your minds, and they don't know your spirits. I do. I've seen them in each and every one of you. You have shown them to me one by one ever since you were born. You have shown them to your teachers, to your classmates, to your neighbors, to the people that raised you. But all those people were blind. They didn't really care about what they saw. You have also shown them to me, and you have shown them to yourselves. You have shown me who you are in your hearts, and you are good. Each and every one of you is healthy, strong, smart, righteous, outstanding, impressive, great, and wonderful. 2. Sons, the world is not all good, honest, humble, sunshine, flowers, rainbows, and beauty. There are some very nasty places in this world, and some very evil people living in those places. I don't care how tough you are. They will often try to beat you, to bring you down to your knees, and to keep you there permanently if you let them. Nobody is ever going to hit you as hard as life will. However, at the end, it isn't about how hard you will get hit, but rather about how hard you could get hit and keep moving forward. It's about how many blows you could take and keep still moving forward. That's what it counts. That's what life is. And that's how winning is done. 3. Sons, you should always do the best that you can in whatever you do with the resources you have at hand, and you should always go the distance to finish what you started. What I mean to say here is that 44 years ago, I was a nobody. I was 16, a kid who just started boxing a few months earlier, and I was about to fight a boxing Romanian champion, a year older than me, in the city of Timișoara. I was scared, very scared. I was scared, afraid, and intimidated. I heard the crowd cheering for him, for the champion, and I saw the media reporters interviewing him and taking pictures of him as we were warming up. I was asking myself, why did my coach put me to fight this champion? This guy is the best in the country, and I only started boxing a few months ago. This guy is surely going to hurt me. And then I calmed down by saying to myself, it doesn't matter if I lose the fight. All I have to do is to go the distance to end the match. And then the match started. A few seconds in, I hit him, and I hit him good. Did I hit him from fear, from instinct, or from luck? I don't know. But that hit went straight to his chin. Then I couldn't believe it. He was falling down. The champion was falling down in front of me, a nobody. I was shocked, surprised, and extremely happy. It was my third match of my boxing career, and I had just put down a Romanian champion in boxing. Was I better? Was I lucky? I don't know what that was. The referee started counting. When counting stopped, I rushed towards him to finish the fight, to knock him down, to take him out. It was the fight of my life. However, he made some obstructions and began to regain control, and he was moving better and better throughout the boxing ring. It must have been close to the end of the round when I felt that my knees were shaking, and it was my turn to fall down and to be counted. The referee approached me and saw blood pouring out of my mouth. My upper lip was ripped off, and I was bleeding badly. He stopped the fight immediately. I was shocked, angry, and irritated. I felt my salty blood, and I saw it pouring down from my mouth, but I didn't feel a thing. I wanted to fight. I wanted to end up the fight and to win. I was begging the referee to let me continue the fight. When my coach saw that, he jumped into the ring, grabbed me into his arms, and hugged me. He was proud of me, so very proud of me. He said, "Jordache, you are my champion. You were much better than him." If you wouldn't have known he was a national champion, you'd have easily won the match. I later find out that his name was Andrei Plesha and that he was never put down before. He was the Romanian champion several times in the early 1970s. After the fight, I began to feel better about myself. I was beginning to feel more and more confident and more comfortable about the boy I was and about what I was capable of doing. I wasn't just another bum from the neighborhood, but a kid who came from nowhere and who almost won a boxing match against a very powerful and talented Romanian champion. 4. Sons, You should love each other. You should help each other. And you should always learn from each other. In 1980, my brother Vasile was a boxer and I was a rugby player. During the summer, he went to fight at the Nationals. The results of his boxing matches were published the very next day on a daily national newspaper. Every morning of that week, I went to the newspaper stand and bought a newspaper to find out the results. Every time I opened that newspaper, I had my heart beating fast, hoping, wishing, and praying for good results from my brother. He did well, very well. He was winning match after match, most of them by knockout. He qualified for the final. His final fight was against Bota, the Romanian junior heavyweight champion. I was afraid of that match. Bota was a very good, skilled, talented and powerful boxer. The day after the final match, I opened the newspaper with immense emotions. I prayed to God to see good news, and it happened. On that sport page of the national newspaper was written in very big letters a name I recognized. It wrote, Vasile Bota, the new heavyweight Romanian champion. I immediately froze. That name was the name of my brother, a name that I loved dearly. My father had the same name, and my father was the person I loved the most until that very time. The next thing I remember were the goosebumps that covered my body. I had goosebumps everywhere, all over my body. I was proud, immensely proud of him. Tears started to come out of my eyes and I couldn't stop them. I was crying. I couldn't stop my tears. I felt it very real and I knew it deep down, how proud I was of him and how much I loved him. I truly loved him. He was my young brother, my genes, my flesh and blood. He was the little infant I used to babysit. He was the little child I always protected from the older boys. Every time he got in fights with them. He was the boy I taught so many things to. Yet, that boy has taught me then, on that very day, the most important lesson of my life. A lesson in belief. The lesson of believing myself and the belief in what I was doing. He has taught me through his very simple actions that the will to win, the desire to succeed, the urge to reach my potential, the belief in myself and the belief in what I was doing were the keys to winning. Those were the keys to winning anything in life. He automatically became my teacher, my master, my hero, the hero of our family, the hero of our village, and the hero of our district. He was the best, the strongest, the most skilled, and the most talented 19 years old at his boxing category in Romania, a country which had at the time over 23 million people, a country who spent billions and billions of dollars on enhancing high-performance sport. The next thing I remember was going home with that newspaper stuck in my hand, sitting alone in my room and crying. That's right, I was crying. It was a cry of happiness. My young brother had made it. He achieved greatness. I knew how he did it because I saw him daily, and I saw his tremendous work, his determination and his spirit, and I saw the results of that work. I was so happy for him, so happy for my parents, so happy for my sister, and so happy for our village. That young man, my own brother, a young human being who was so close to me, a human I shared my blood and genes with, had succeeded. I felt that what he did was glorious. For me, it was no longer about boxing. It was more about achieving glory and greatness. 5. Sons, you have to believe in yourselves. You have to have faith in your abilities. Without confidence in your own powers, you cannot be successful. Do never forget that great men are not born great, but they have goals and dreams. They have ambition and determination. They work hard to reach those dreams, and in time, they grow and do become great. Don't ever forget that flowers that bloom in adversity are the most rare and the most beautiful of all. 6. Sons, your past experiences are valuable lessons for you. Learn from them. Your past can either hurt you or teach you valuable life lessons. You don't ever have to prove nothing to nobody except yourselves. You should always be yourselves. You are unique, all of you. Each and every one of you is unique in his way. You should never try to fit, because you three were born to be different, to stand out from the crowd and to be stars. 7. Sons, you are the only one who could truly live your own lives. You should never try to live your life for other people, as you, David, have been doing. You have to do what is right for you, even if that will hurt some of the people you love. You should stop trying to please everybody, because it's impossible. You should also be honest and truthful to you and to everybody else. You should always be you. People will love you for being that. They will understand about your childhood sufferings, about your life injustices, and they will admire you for going through them. 8. Sons, you should always dream big. You should never give up. You should always help people achieve success, because in that way you will all be successful. You should never let anybody tell you you can't do something. When you have a dream, you have to protect it. There will always be people who can't do things themselves and will tell you you can't do it either. Don't ever listen to those people. When you want something, you have to go to get it. 9. Sons, in this lifetime, you don't have to prove nothing to nobody except to yourselves. After what each and every one of you have been going through in your lives until now, without parental support, parental love, or parental guidance, being so often surrounded by people who'd rather see you fail than succeed, who'd rather hate or harm you than help or love you. You are not only ready, but also fully prepared to take on the world, to try to make it better for you, for your children, and for everybody else. I have long forgave your mothers, no matter how dishonest or crooked they were, because at the end, if I wouldn't have met them, I wouldn't have had you. And there would have been an unimaginable loss for me and for the world. 10. Sons, you should never wish to conquer or to rule anybody. You should always wish to help everybody. You should also help each other, and you should all try to help our world. Human beings do that. They think like that, and they are like that. You should all wish to live by other people's happiness, not by other people's misery. You should be aware that in this world there is enough room and space for everybody. This earth is rich and can provide for all of us. 11. Sons, you should start believing in paradise. But you should know that paradise is not some place you have to find or look for, because it's not where you go, but how you feel. Paradise is a divine feeling you could get for a moment in your life, when you are a part of something great. If you could ever find that magical feeling, that magical moment, it will last forever. 12. Sons, to achieve your life goals and dreams, you'll have to go through some very tough times, but you have to hold on and to not quit. If you are going to try something, you should enter into that thing by going all the way. Otherwise, you shouldn't even start. Those trials could mean losing your girlfriends, as I did, losing your wives, as I did twice, your mothers, losing your jobs, as I did so many times. It could even be losing your mind, as I often did. It could mean not eating for 7 or 24 days, as I did when going on hunger strike and fought to have you in my custody. It could mean going to jail, as I recently did for 9 days of jail when fighting 2 poisonous, evil, and disgusting persons. It could mean being mocked, humiliated, and isolated, as I was so many times. All those hardships and challenges will be, in fact, a test of your endurance, a test of how much you really want to do in order to get what you want to have. But at the end, you'll all be able to do it despite of pain, sufferings, or rejections. You will be fighting the odds, and you will be winning. Once you will achieve those goals and dreams, you will feel better than you could ever imagine. 13. Sons, you should always stand up for what you believe in. You should stand up and fight until you either win or until you die fighting. If you feel something is worth having, you have to fight for it. However, sometimes if you start fighting, you may die. If you choose running away, you may live, at least for a while. But dying in your beds many years from now, wouldn't you be willing to trade all the days from the day of the fight to the day of dying for one chance, just one chance, to return to the people you fought and to tell them that they may take your lives, they may take your freedom, but they will never take away your dignity or your name. 14. Sons, life is not the amount of breaths you take, but rather the moments that take your breath away? Do you make people feel rare, pure, and extraordinary? You should ask yourself, how many people in the world can truly make you feel rare, pure, and extraordinary? And then, how many people have you made to feel that way? How many people will you make to feel that way from this day forward? 15. Sons, I would like to remind you that our ancestors and I are with you today and will remain with you for the rest of your lives. We will be watching and cheering, and you could always be sure we'll be happy seeing you doing the right things. How you would live your life from this moment on, from this very day forward, it only depends on you. The way you will do it will be the way you will be remembered. Do never forget that you three are the Botas. You are the three humble, honest, and righteous Botas. You are the Bota brothers, the Bota family. My parents, Vasile and Teresa Bota, have been fertilizing flowers for over a decade now with their bodies. If you go again to their graves, and if you listen real close, you can hear them whisper to you. You could hear them whispering their legacy to you. If you listen carefully, you will hear them saying, Carpe. Hear it? Carpe. Carpe diem. Seize the day, our beloved grandsons. Seize the day, boys. Make your lives memorable. Make your lives count. Make your lives extraordinary. Sons, do never forget that you are my blood. You are my three diamonds, my three rocks, the three most wonderful and most precious things in my life. Do not forget to share my heart amongst yourselves. And do not forget to play this YouTube movie at my funeral. Thank you, sons. I love you. And I will love you throughout the land of never-ending time called eternity.
First saved message. Message marked urgent.
Hi, Jordache. This is Sebastian. How are you today? What the fuck? That big way you live. My goodness, if your picture was not an oxymoron, I would ask you, why the fuck don't you allow people to tag you on Facebook, acting like you're God, you're Allah, you're the ruler of my earth? What the fuck, man? Be a man. Confront me. I will fucking kill you. I will beat you the fuck up. You think you're strong? You think you can fucking